Well, the New York Mets signed yet another left-handed pitcher, but once again, it is to a minor league contract, but it's somebody who's a little better than Mike Montgomery, as New York Mets have brought back, technically, Chasen Shreve. He spent the past season with the Pittsburgh Pirates, pitched to a 3.20 ERA. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Chasen Shreve signing, what it means for the Mets, and still what else the Mets have to do. This is not enough to have a complete team, especially with all the other moves that are happening around the National League East, which I will get to later, as well as some other big moves that have been around the sport of baseball, which I also will get to later on in this video. If you like this video talking about the latest Mets news, signings, and other signings from around the whole sport, and make sure to leave a like. Comment down below, what are your thoughts on Chasen Shreve signing? Who do you want to see go next? Because Andrew Chafin is also off the board, so can't recommend him anymore. And what are your thoughts on some of the other moves that happened around baseball that I'm going to get to? Make my day. You always can subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated. Trying to reach the 2,000 subscribers mark. So thank you for all the support you guys have given me, and the more you like the videos, the more it helps the channel grow even more. So Chasen Shreve, I think he's a guy that got a little bit of an unfair rap when he was with the Mets because he finished the year with a 3.96 ERA, and I feel like that ERA didn't really tell the story, because this is a guy that going into the month of September had a 2.04 ERA, and I'm going to pull it up right here. But as you can see, as the season progressed, he had a couple bad outings here or there where he'd give up 3 runs and he gave up 3 runs again, and all of a sudden he finished the year at a 3.96 ERA. But in between, there were a few scoreless outings, so he still did show some good signs. And then when you break it down even further, the reason why he struggled in those outings is because it was in higher leverage. If you look at him by inning, from innings 2 through 4, he didn't give up any runs, but as you go on, you look at the 7th inning, 8th inning, and 9th inning, those tougher spots, the game is really close, you're facing the more challenging parts of the lineup, then that's where he started to struggle a little more. And what I also like about Chasen Shreve is that most of his outings were 2 innings and a third. So he's a guy that was able to give the Mets multiple innings, which we always know is very important. Unfortunately, though, that's not what the Mets really need right now. They need a true left-handed specialist, a guy that with all the good left-handed bats you're going to face in National League East, you can turn to them and they're going to get the guy out in those high leverage situations later on in games. The good thing about Shreve is that left-handed hitters against him this year only had a 200 average, so he did do well in that area. And since 2020, Chasen Shreve has held left-handed hitters to a 164 average, which is 6th best in all of Major League Baseball. If he does make the Major League team, they would pay him $1.5 million. So if it's a minor league deal, it's really hard to complain. You always know you're going to need depth, especially from the left-handed side. I imagine him and Alex Claudio and Mike Montgomery could be battling for a bullpen spot. I definitely think Chasen Shreve has the edge right now. He gets to work with Jeremy Hefner again, and his slider is something that keeps increasing as far as vertical drop, and increased even more with Pittsburgh. He also increased his usage. His splitter worked really well when he was with Jeremy Hefner and the Mets. So I definitely think this is a quality move. You can never complain about a minor league signing. However, the Mets definitely still need to do more to get more of a true established left-handed relief pitcher. And with Andrew Chafin going to the Detroit Tigers, the left-handed pitcher on the market of note is Tony Watson. Other than that, you have Andrew Miller out there, but he's getting up there in age and he wasn't very good. Tony Watson is a guy that could limit barrels, and the same goes for Chasen Shreve. When you look at his Baseball Savant page, he's another guy that, you know what, he doesn't get hit hard, but he does pitch to contact, but at least it's soft contact. So you have to rely on the defense behind him to make those plays. You imagine Francisco Lindor will be able to get a lot of those ground balls. When Chasen Shreve was here, he didn't have Lindor. He didn't have Eduardo Escobar at third base, who was an improvement over J.D. Davis. Didn't have Marte. Other than that, the Mets could kind of look at the trade market. Amir Garrett got traded today from the Reds. He didn't have a good year, but some people like his stuff. Rogers from the Twins is someone that intrigues me, but the Twins have kind of given the perception that they might be buying and not really be looking to move on from other players. Other than that, we haven't really heard about the Mets being linked to any other left-handed pitchers, whether it's in the free agent market or the trade market, even though everybody knows that they definitely could use another left-hander because of one of the moves that happened today, which I'll start off with. Kyle Schwarber signs with the Philadelphia Phillies for 4 years, a little under $80 million. And we know that Kyle Schwarber absolutely crushed the Mets this season while he was with the Washington Nationals. The guy set a record pretty much for, in such a short amount of games, hitting so many home runs against all of the Mets pitchers. And they're going to face him in Citizens Bank Ballpark, which is, we know, a very small ballpark, very easy for guys to hit home runs. So Kyle Schwarber is going to be able to hit even more. And that's why you want to get a reliever that you feel like, okay, at least we can kind of try to neutralize Schwarber a little bit by going to a left-handed pitcher out of the bullpen. That's why it's so important for them to fill that role. Obviously, the Phillies also have Bryce Harper. We know the Braves got Matt Olson earlier this week, so you're going to be facing a lot of good left-hand hitters. Obviously, Juan Soto, you can bring whatever pitcher you want. You're never going to get that guy out, so what's the point? Kyle Schwarber was someone I would have really liked to have gotten, but the Mets have Robinson Cano, so he's going to be here. He's going to be the DH, so it really prevents the Mets from making other moves, which honestly is very frustrating because you feel like Cano is just entitled to be here, whether he's good or not, whether he's earned it or not. Just because of the money he's getting paid, he has to be here. I literally watched the New York Yankees just put Jacoby Ellsbury to the side, no matter what he was getting paid, and did not play the guy. You don't have to play the guy. It doesn't say in the contract Cano has to be played. You can just give him a fake injury, sit him on the couch like he was last year. I mean, the fact that it prevented them from doing something, from getting somebody like Kyle Schwarber, and then you don't want to put too much stock into this, but when the Mets had their practice game today and Dom Smith hit 2 home runs off of Max Scherzer, again, don't put too much stock into it, but Dom Smith doesn't get to play as much because Robinson Cano has to play. And I just find that really frustrating because Cano has not earned that to me. When he was here with no steroids, he was sucked. And then when he got steroids, all of a sudden he was good again. It tells me that Robinson Cano needs to rely on steroids in order to be productive. You can't have that. The guy is getting even older. He is not going to be as good. And then as far as the other moves around baseball, we saw Matt Chapman get traded to the Toronto Blue Jays. They gave up a few prospects. Number 4 prospect was the biggest one that they gave up. Nothing too crazy because Matt Chapman doesn't have that much left on his contract, but the Blue Jays showing that they still are competing. They're still trying to get even better. They've had a good offseason so far, and they're hoping that Matt Chapman could kind of fill in the power void that they're losing with Marcus Semien. Semien had over 40 home runs this past year. Matt Chapman is a guy that could easily get 30 home runs, and some people think that maybe it's going to be Josh Donaldson 2.0 with the Oakland Athletics trade a third baseman to Toronto, and that guy goes on to be not necessarily MVP, but be an even better player than they were with Oakland. The other big move that happened was Seiya Suziki going to the Chicago Cubs, 5 years, $85 million. Definitely quite a bit to pay for a guy that has not played in the major leagues yet, but we'll see what happens because the Cubs are a team that they signed Marcus Stroman, they signed Andrelton Simmons. The Cubs also picked up Wade Miley off a waiver, so that was another nice move for them. But other than that, they still need quite a bit more if they want to compete with the St. Louis Cardinals and the Milwaukee Brewers. But with the way the Reds are selling everybody off, that's a team that they could jump in front of the National League Central. They want to make a run at it and expand the playoffs. It's going to be a little tough because we know the Padres are going to be competitive, even though Fernando Tatis Jr. had surgery this morning. We imagine the Mets are going to be better. The Phillies got Schwarber. I wouldn't be surprised if they added some more players. The Braves made a few moves, bringing back Eddie Rosario, bringing in Alex Dickerson. So the Braves, obviously, they're not giving up their division crown yet. So I'm curious to see if the Cubs still are aggressive. I mean, is Carlos Correa still in play? The one interesting rumor that came out was that the Blue Jays have been in contact with Cleveland about a potential trade for Jose Ramirez to play second base because with them acquiring Matt Chapman, as of right now, Kevin Biggio is a second baseman. It's unclear if the Chapman trade prevents Toronto from going to the next step and going to Cleveland to get another guy in Matt Chapman. But I don't see why it would stop them because Toronto didn't give up too much in the Matt Chapman trade. I wonder if making this move kind of takes them out of the equation for Freddie Freeman because now you can't move Vlad to third base since Matt Chapman's going to be there. As far as Freddie Freeman, he's one of the big dominoes left. It seems like it's down to the Red Sox, the Dodgers. If there's any other mystery teams that could jump in, that's really the main suitors. Again, let me know what you thought about the Mets bringing back Chasen Shreve, all the other moves that happened today. And until the next one, be safe, be smart, be healthy, and let's go Mets. Get a true left-handed reliever in that bullpen, please.